And we are live. We'll just
Hello.
double check all the technical stuff, but it seems like everything is working nicely.
Okay.
All right. So welcome everyone to the Creative Exchange number 34. Today we're gonna talk about ski movies and the magic behind and the tools and the knowledge we need to make them not just a normal ski movie, but something that people will really enjoy watch and try to share some tips with the audience. The guest today is Sofia Wester. Sofia, welcome and thank you for taking the time.
Hi. Thank
Um,
you for having me.
Now we heard a lot of actually people when we asked people on our few recent creative exchange who we should have next. Quite a few people suggested you,
Oh,
so we are very happy to have you and to discuss this topic with you. Maybe before we go into the topic, if you just shortly introduce yourself and let people know where you're calling from.
yeah. Thank you for that kind introduction too. I'm honored. Hi, John.
Hey, Sophia. Hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, should
Late.
I? Yeah, I'm just gonna introduce myself.
Yeah.
I'm a Swedish photographer, and I'm married to a professional skier that I met many years ago before I became a photographer. And now I work in the ski industry, documenting mainly steep skiing and producing videos with him.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
we also when we were googling a bit about you to be to be fair, we also seen that
Yeah.
you actually have some very good studies that you finished.
Yeah.
So how long ago would you say that were your first steps into the this field of snow movies and snow photography?
So I met Jakob in 2007, and then I didn't really know that you can be a photographer because my mind was so set on like working at a big company in tech and stuff. And after a few years with him, I thought maybe I should go to school and just get smart, and then we can see if maybe I can work as a photographer. So I did 5 years Master of Science in Computer Science, and during my master, I started to get paid photography gigs. And I'm like, maybe you can work work with this. And that was, I think it's 8 years ago now.
Nice.
And
Very
here we
cool.
are. Yeah, it's cool.
Very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
before we deep dive into more, firstly, I'm proud to say that this is the first creative exchange we are live streaming on Instagram as well. So welcome viewers from there as well.
Wow.
I
10.
hope the
Stepping up.
yeah, something new every time. But before we start, it would be amazing if people watching would just let us know in the comments where you're watching from which country. That's always nice to see before we start to see where you guys are from.
Yeah. Do we have any Swedish people here? Let's see. Hi.
Okay, how many have we got here? Okay, here they come. Latvia,
No.
Innsbruck.
Oh, you guys cannot see, but I can also see comments from Instagram. So we have Japan, Belgium, we have Solna from Sweden, Oslo, Georgia, Slovakia,
Wow.
India, a lot of places.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
a lot of places. What an honor. Hi, guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
This might set the record for the most people from the most different countries we've had.
Oh, you reckon?
Great. Very cool.
Nice. Yeah, I think Slovenia. Always nice to see Slovenians here as well. I think before we ask the community to ask questions for you, Sofia, as well, we can go through the slide that you prepared because I think that's a great overview and like an essential presentation of how to make a ski movie. So first we can touch base on that, and then we would love to hear questions from everyone as well to you if they have something specific that they would like to know. As you prepare the slides, maybe you can kick off with the history of the ski production and why you added the guy here.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously this is a huge subject, and I mean, I'm good at making ski movies. So this is just a disclaimer. This is my thoughts on this. But the guy on the slide there is Warren Miller, and he was the first guy to make ski movies. I think he started in the 50s. And the way we consumed skiing before the internet was once a year during the fall. And that's when you caught up on what people had been doing during the last year. And that's not the way we consume ski movies today. We see like the athletes release their tricks 10 minutes after they've done them, and it's just a different scene today.
How many years did Warren Miller make ski films for? I feel like, is he...
Was it like 50 years or 60? Maybe someone who's watching know this.
Yeah. If anyone knows this in the comments, please let us know. But I feel
maybe
like
we have an expert here with us.
every year there was a Warren Miller film.
Right.
We probably have some people in here watching who probably were in some of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how different it is today compared to what it was before.
Yeah, and I think that's also we talk a lot about it internally as well. It's like how to get attention,
right.
And I think you being in that field since for some years now, for sure, discovered how to get that into the ski movie, and I think that's always nice to bring a bit of a humor in it as well with the memes. But how would you say that? What is your thoughts or insights of how to, in nowadays when everything is 2 seconds attention span,
right,
and people are there is a lack of patience, how would you say that you can get to that point that you actually get people's attention?
I mean, one way is to work with big athletes that already has a reputation and that clout that comes with their name, or work with companies that also have a good reputation, like Red Bull. If you have Red Bull, you're going to get a lot of views just automatically based on that. But I mean, you can't really be an independent filmmaker and work with Red Bull the first thing you do. So you sort of have to think about, okay, but how can we attract people online? And I think there's like 2 types of audience. We have the core audience that are really into skiing. They've seen all the movies, they know the names of the athletes, and they don't necessarily care about storytelling. They just want to see cool tricks and good skiing. And it's a really important audience to impress, because that's where you build your brand and become a respected skier. But then you have this other like huge audience on YouTube that is like the broad scrolling viewer. And some of them maybe haven't been on a mountain, they're just like cruising YouTube. And for them, I think the storytelling part is really important. And how do we get them interested to continue watching your movie? And it's a huge topic, obviously. I don't have the right answers, but we figured out a few things that we try to capture when we're on the mountains to build this story that we think can capture the broader audience.
And Sofia, has your approach to making films changed over the last 10 to 15 years? The reason I asked this is like I went back to watch The Sopranos recently.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing TV series, but I was just thinking like this wouldn't get made today.
Right.
Not in the format it is, because it's so slow and sort of dramatic. And if you watch a Netflix series today, it's like completely different the way it's built. So is that the same for you in ski movies, that you've had to you've adjusted how you make them?
Yeah, I struggle with that a little bit, because I think this rapid pace of storytelling is necessarily like the best one. It's one way to do it, But so I try to do. We do like a bunch of YouTube episodes, and then we do like a proper movie. And in the proper movie, I try to do a little bit of better storytelling that is not attention seeking in the same way as the YouTube episodes. But then, like on Instagram, we releases a different type of material that is just very fast speed, and like it's different. It's different for sure.
Yeah, I think we also witnesses the power of a trick last week, or at least for me, it's been a while since I've been so many accounts and people posting about one trick, the skate trick, the tree flip through the famous stairs that happened last week. I thought that was crazy to see how one trick basically spread over the whole internet for a week, where I really see that like something like that can really take over basically the industry for a number of days, which is interesting to see. Yeah, I think with this graph, I think maybe if you just take us through, is that something like that you would already prepare before you go to the mountain and start shooting, or is that something that comes later in the editing phase, or is that like how do you kind of get ready to catch that peak and then slide down? Like how do you prepare to get to that?
Yeah, so normally this is a classic story arc that we see this in like movies and books and all over the place where we consume media. And for me, it helps thinking about this before we go out in the mountains shooting. I mean, this is a huge subject, the story arc. There's like a bunch of different story arcs that people go to film school for. This is just the most basic one. But it's sort of like in Lord of the Rings, where you have Frodo and he's on this epic quest to destroy the ring. It's sort of like the skier that are on this epic quest to ski this line, and you face internal and external challenges. Like you want to destroy the ring, but he wants to keep it to himself, and you have this outer challenges like orcs and golems, and it's pretty similar to A Day in the Mountains. So if you make sure you capture all of these steps when you're out shooting, you're in a pretty good place in post-production to get a good story arc that you can work with.
And this hero's journey, this is kind of known how this is Lord of the Rings, this was Star Wars, they kind of apply this the most, right, in filmmaking?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the graphs looks a little bit different depending on which movie we're talking about, but this is like a basic one that you have the setup and you introduced people and issues they're having, and then they're on this climax, and then it's resolution at the end. It's pretty similar to A Day on the Mountains, where you don't really know what's going to happen, and people are going to struggle both internally and with environmental issues and stuff. So it helps for me a lot. And this is more like for post-production, I think. It's just sometimes I make different timelines when I'm editing, and I don't necessarily start from the beginning. Maybe I start and then I try to build the different chapters based on this. So this is just a little bit of a tool I use.
Would you say that, I think Hook for YouTube, that's also something I think a lot of ski movies, and I think some people do it really well. Would you say like, because I think at the end of the day, a lot of times the ski movie, it's about skiing, resort stories. Like, would you say that you maybe found hooks like a template how to find a hook? Like, is it something like always find a local, or something that you've seen that it's been really working or helping you to find that hook? Like, how do you get to that hook?
Yeah, I mean, for YouTube, the scarier or more like death it is the better the video is going to go. Which is, I mean, we can talk about that. I don't want to over dramatize skiing either, but sometimes you need to push it just a little bit just to get the attention from the viewer. Because I think when you scroll YouTube, maybe you have like 4 seconds to capture that audience. And how do you do that in 4 seconds? You can't really start with like a beautiful scenic shot because people are just gonna scroll past that. It's better when people are almost dying, then people are gonna stop and be like, "Whoa, what's this?" It's a balance we're trying to figure out too, because we want to be authentic too and not over dramatize the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, but I think sometimes in that regard, like when you've grown up in the mountains, like what seems like, it's always, for example, for me, crazy. Like if you see someone hiking a ridge in Alaska with the GoPro on, like, and you look down both sides and you just see like thousands of meters drop, your heart is in your mouth. And as a viewer, if you haven't done that before, you're like, these guys are absolutely crazy. Where are they going?
Yeah.
But the reality, like when you've done something like that before, it's like, okay, well, it's actually 2 meters wide and there's footholds, and maybe not to undramatize it, but I think, you know, it's easy when you're in that space to think, oh, this isn't dangerous. But like, you know, to someone who isn't there every day, it seems pretty terrifying.
Yeah. It's important to remember that, like, I work in sort of a bubble with a lot of really good skiers, and what they do is not normal at all. Like, so you have to remember that and try to place the audience in their shoes. And I think it's also important to realize that on YouTube, there's a lot of people that might not have been on a mountain before. So you have to really explain what's going on. And this is like with the graphics, we try to show like, oh, this is where we walk up and this is where they're going to ski down. And this is the height of the mountain, just like trying to over explain everything. Because I had a ski movie premiere once where people came up to me after and asked about the Z tracks on the side, asking me like, what's that? I'm like, oh, they don't even realize that that is the skin track going up. So I think it's a good, so you have to like remember that not everyone knows what's going on in the mountains.
And I think you probably also have an interesting thing, because like, I think one thing I see, like I grew up snowboarding and you had absinthe films, European, like amazing films. When they did stuff with like Nicholas and Gigi and it was filmed close in, it was very aspirational, and you could say like, oh, I could imagine doing powder turns like that. But then they still had like some of the Alaska heli shots where you basically just see like an ant flying off a cliff. And it's whilst it's very, very good snowboarding, it's also, you have to remember, you want people to aspire to go and do that.
Right.
And I think that's probably always the fine line you have as a filmmaker of aspirational versus relatability. Like you want something where people are like, oh, I want to strap my snowboard on tomorrow, and not just be scared out of your brains, like looking at that face on the slide there.
Yeah, I think yes and no, because also we want to showcase stuff that not everyone can do.
True.
I think that's important too. I mean, we walk up on everything we ski down. I think I want to inspire people to do more of that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to inspire them to ski steep stuff that you die if you don't know what you're doing. Like then you can have like the cruisy nice powder turns too, but I want it to be impressive also, to impress like the core audience that we talked about before.
True. Can I ask you then maybe less of a filmmaker question, more of a personal question? So your husband is the subject of the movies you're making, and I just watched a video earlier and it's like him above a few hundred-foot cliff band. How is that relationship to risk, I suppose, and how do you deal with it? Because, you know, if my wife was flinging herself off of, you know, down a face with a 400-foot cliff underneath, I'd be like, please be careful. You know, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I met him knowing what he was doing.
Okay.
So, I mean, he did like park jumps before, but like I know he's a skier and he's gonna ski if I'm there or not, and he's gonna ski if I say no or not. So for
True.
me, I just realized that it's way better if I can be on the mountain with him and take decisions with him rather
Yes.
than being at home and not having anything to say.
Yeah.
Because at least like when I'm with him on the mountains, I can like hear his reasoning and I can say like, "Hey, babe, this is not a good idea because of this or that."
Yeah.
So I don't have to get that call and not knowing what went wrong.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's better to be. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Because at least then you have some semblance of control, I suppose.
Right. Right.
Very cool.
Right. But I mean, it's nerve-wracking for sure sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is that when you're shooting friends too, I mean, in this industry, like we all know each other very well. So it's, I don't know, it's just part of the game, I think.
Yeah.
That's why you want to be out with good people that know what they're doing.
Yeah. And then can I ask a question? And maybe Tin, we can go to some questions from everyone watching. How are you? The reason I asked this, I made a couple of very average snowboard films back in the day, featuring some British snowboarders. My job was getting the money to actually make the thing. So I raised a few €1,000 from sponsors. Like, how do you raise the money to fund all of this? Is it from like endemic sponsors that you guys have, or is it from YouTube revenue, or how are you doing it?
It's a good question. It's the never-ending struggle, I think, with money in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very fortunate to work with the Jakob sponsors, and we have a few others that helps us with the movie project. And then also, like being married, I'm not like charging a filmer. What do you call that?
Day
Like
rate.
Day rate for him. Like we're a package deal, and it's a really good package deal for the sponsors. So I think that's why we're able to do this on a little bit of a shoestring budget, to be honest.
Okay.
Because it is expensive having a filmer with you traveling all year round.
Yeah.
It's easier when you're married.
And then do you, just I'm intrigued how the model works. Do you make money from YouTube with like ad revenue and stuff, or?
Not really, because we wanted to use the music we wanted, like not copyright-free music. So we use whatever we like, and when you do, you can't make ad money on YouTube. Because
that's a shift that has happened with the digital. Like when did that change? Because I made a Nike snowboarding film in 2014, and we used Rolling Stones, and we used David Bowie, and we paid for it all.
Right. How much was that?
I mean, the Rolling Stones, we used oh my God, what's the song now? I'll find it. Yeah, it was like 25 grand to license that song.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's just too expensive to license music.
No, exactly. But then, so if what is it? You just switch off the monetization, and then you can use whatever songs you want.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you can, not all songs, but like 99% of all the songs. So then you can like upload like a black screen with the music you want to like, and then YouTube will tell you if it's okay or not. So
okay.
Yeah.
And so that's how, because like I know, like Beyond Medals, for example, they use whatever they want, and it goes on the Monster channel, but they just don't monetize it. Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they pay for it. They have a bigger budget for sure, but that's how we do it, and that's how people like it. And
okay, nice, very good.
Yeah, I think a lot of questions also when we announced the Creative Exchange was about the gear, because I think people also are not sure if they just need iPhone nowadays, or iPhone and a high quality camera, or both. So I also saw you put some slides together. So maybe if you walk us through with the gear that you bring with you when you go on the mountain.
Yeah, I'm sorry for this very not sexy slide that I did for you guys. But I think like for me, I'm not, I can't do follow cams because I'm not as good of a skier that you need to be. So a good drone, or we try to have 2 drones on every run. That's just like major So we can have one a little bit wider and one more close by the rider. And then, of course, GoPros on everyone, even the filmers. I think it's good to have a GoPro on. So if something dramatic happens, you can capture both the athlete's reaction, but also the filmers.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have a main camera, just a lifestyle camera that is easy access. It's normally on one of those clip-ons you have on the backpack, so you can just take 1 second to get it up. And then I use microphones on everyone. And what has really helped me a lot in my post-production workflow is having time codes on everything. So with the microphones, I have a time code generator on the main camera. So at the end of the day, I get like an 8-hour audio clip from the athletes. And then in post-production, the clip is gonna be at the right time in the audio track. And the GoPros, they have time codes now too, so I can just import that. I think the next slide you can see. So it looks like this. You have the yellow tracks, that's the audio tracks from the athletes. And then all of the other clips are GoPros and drones and all of the other video. And it it's very easy. So that's like a full day, and that's where I start my editing process.
And how much would you say with like drones and cameras and GoPros, like if you on average, like what kind of percentage would you say of the movies would you say that it's filmed by drones, by your main camera, or GoPros, like the actual footage that is then screened on YouTube and screens? Like, is it always different, or do you have like preferred way of how you do it with the gear?
No, it's different. Normally we use a little bit of everything because you need the GoPros when the athletes are like hiking and we don't have a filmer on the mountain with them. They film each other with the GoPro, and the skiing, obviously you need the GoPro from the first person perspective. And the drones, we use every camera that we can. I try to avoid cell phones because I don't think the quality is there yet. It's like good, like if you don't have any other options, it's okay, but you can really tell on a big screen if it's shots with a cell phone or not.
It's interesting when you look at that edit, like the edit bay you just showed, and the impact of audio.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as I say, like films, I suppose some of the snowboard films I grew up with, they were very much like, just trick with whatever sound, like with the soundtrack. And they would have a couple of angles, but it's interesting watching your stuff. The impact of audio and like what it brings to the piece is it really differentiates that from like the sort of movies of previous generations, I suppose I would say.
Yeah, I agree. It's very important for storytelling to have authentic reactions on the mountains, and for that you need a good microphone. And so this slide that you're on now, this is where I removed all of the audio where it doesn't have any video related to the audio. So this is like the condensed day.
Yeah.
So instead of being like 8 hours, this is maybe 3 hours.
Yeah, while talking about the gear, we got a question from stags.prod. In terms of communication, how and in which way do you stay in contact with the athlete when shooting? Is it all
That's a good
on?
question. Yeah, so it's mandatory for me, if you want to work with me, to have a walkie-talkie so I can talk to you. I don't want to be yelling on the mountains and people are not hearing what you're saying and stuff. So walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can encourage people to start asking questions now. Anything related to making the snow movies, and I'll do my best to keep track on Instagram and YouTube to make sure we don't miss any good ones.
Nice. While we're waiting, what would be your most memorable trip your most memorable film trip you've done over the last decade, longer?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good question. I think first time I went to northern Norway for skiing.
Yeah.
Because it's so remote. Like I didn't see any people almost, and the mountains, and you have the fjords, and I mean, because before that I only went to like the French Alps, and there's people everywhere, and then you go up there and wow.
Yeah,
this is the way I want to work.
I did 2 seasons in Val d'Isère. Yeah, there's people everywhere from 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's crazy, yeah. But northern Norway, during Easter it can be a little bit crowded, but it's nothing compared to the Alps.
And yeah, like when do you go up and film? Like what time of the year are you going up to that part of the world to film?
Like March to May normally.
Okay, so it's on like Alaska, like similar to Alaska kind of thing.
Yeah, when they get the daylight back.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, we got a question from Akim. What are your main lenses that you use?
So for my main camera that I have on my backpack, I normally go for the 24 to 70 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely change lenses because, like, when we're out on the mountain, everything is like really quick, and the athletes are super fast hiking up, and I'm just trying to keep up. So I think that's a good, like, you can be pretty close to them, and you can zoom in to get their reactions and their faces, and you can also like, it's a good compromise. So that's the main lens I use.
And then which body are you using? You may have said it. I apologize.
No, I did not. I use a Canon R5 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think one thing, for example, I sometimes go ski touring, and I don't really bring the camera, but I think already having snacks and everything in the backpack feels very heavy. Like, how do you manage to bring 2 drones and heavy camera, and like, do you share the equipment between the team, or it just ends up being all on you?
I want to say that I carry everything, but I don't. Yeah, because the people I work with, they offer almost every time to carry some of the batteries and stuff. They are stronger than me, so it only makes sense that they help carrying the weight a little bit.
Okay. Another, I think, good question from Thomas: how to attract sponsors? Do you have to do big pitch deck for them with details? Because he doesn't want to, I guess. But...
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't love doing the pitch decks either, but yeah, some sponsors that we have worked with for many years, we don't need the pitch decks, but normally I do that anyways because it looks professional, and if you want to get the most money out of them as possible, you need to explain to them why they need to be a part of your project, and the best way to do that is a pitch deck or show previous work. Other than that, I don't have any tip for you if you don't want to do a pitch deck. But yeah, okay, so you want to plan every shoot to keep it natural. Like the pitch decks I do, they are not scene to scene. Sometimes I don't even promise that they're gonna ski a specific peak or a mountain. I just promise that this is a ski movie from this area, and it's gonna look a little bit like this. Because you don't want to promise too much, I think, because then you can end up being in trouble if the snow is not there or something else happens.
And I don't want to challenge what you're saying here, Sophia, but
go for it.
No. I'm just thinking from a brand side, like if you're building your pitch deck and stuff, I always think it's worth putting yourself in the perspective of the person who's going to read the pitch deck. So, my job ultimately, or the job of most people who are signing off on these budgets, is at some point to sell some more product, which, unfortunately is the role of marketing at the end of the day. So then it's kind of, okay, well, how can the person building the pitch deck provide content, provide traffic, provide storytelling which can help the brand in terms of that. So, I think for us, one of the biggest things is just getting a good steady flow of like UGC content, making sure that there is a lot of assets coming from people out in the mountains. One thing I struggle with sometimes on the brand side is people like, oh, we need this stuff for all this, and then you don't actually get back what was people said they would do. I always think that's a bit of a struggle, because everyone always wants some product or some money, and sometimes that, I think, making sure you come back and follow up what you said you would do is really important.
It is. I mean, it's a contract between you two, and it builds on trust. So if you promise that you're gonna deliver a photo package, deliver a photo package, because otherwise you're not gonna get the money next time.
True.
But it's a thing to think about too. Like, you're right on, like, putting yourself in the sponsors' shoes. We try to think about that too, because some of our sponsors, I mean, they're happy to be in our movies, but that's not really what they're looking for. They're looking for maybe product placements, or they want a photo package, or maybe they want to do a social media campaign that has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah.
So if we can add that in, it's sort of a trade-off that we can do what we want to do, and they get what they want to have for their marketing.
Yeah. And I think to that point as well, like, depending on the brand that you're pitching, Thomas, I think sometimes, like, we have it, for example, at DB, we have multiple color drops per season. Like, depends. And sometimes, and we try to do most things in-house, but for example, we just launched the 100-liter duffel, and because we were doing the holiday campaign with Haaland and a few other things, we got to capacity, and we said, like, we don't have any more time and people to do this. So Tin, you organized for, I forget her name.
Olivia,
and she went to, where did she go? Kyrgyzstan, yes. And she did a trip for us, and I think that's always quite a nice solution, just like listening to brands if they've got a challenge of, like, hey, we have to create all this stuff for all these new colorways, like, can you take some of the work off the desk? Like, that's always quite a nice way to combine it.
You're true. It's true.
Couple more there,
I think there is a good technical question from Elia. How do you expose your camera for snow without losing the detail in highlights?
So I use ND filters, of course, because when you film, you need to be at a certain shutter speed, otherwise it looks like shit. So if you're shooting in a 25 frame rate, you need to be at 50 at shutter speed. So I use an ND filter, and then just try to be a little bit, I don't overexpose anything, because when you do that, you're fucked. So, like, I do try to do it a little bit too dark and work with noise reduction in post than blowing the highlights out.
And another technical question from Instagram: if you found the perfect length of the movie, or, like, do you plan the length, or you don't care if the story is worth it, like 45 minutes, or you have a rule like not going over half an hour, for example?
I don't like having rules, but if you want to be on film festivals, many film festivals have very strict rules about length. So it could be, sometimes the story needs a good 30-40 minutes, and of course, if you have to do that, you have to do that, but then you might risk not getting into some film festivals because they are looking for movies that are under 20 minutes. So it all depends on the story and what's your goal with the movie, because some stories can't really be told in 20 minutes, so then it's going to be feel rushed. So maybe it's not worth being on some film festivals.
For sure. Another technical one, short answer, but what timecode system are you using?
So I'm using Tentacle mics and timecode generators. I think there's like a bunch of different ones. I think DJI has their own one too, but I'm on Tentacles.
Okay, nice. And then we have a question from Annika. What advice would you give to athletes who want to break into the film industry, particularly when it comes to getting started and building connections?
I think like try to figure out what you want to showcase with your ski, put out into the world, what type of stories you like, and like what do you like watching, and try to produce that yourself. And also don't be shy and write to people like me or athletes on Instagram. I think a lot of us have had help from bigger names and want to give that for give that back to the industry. So like, just don't be shy and reach out and see whatever comes from that.
I think there was a good ski movie back in the days that Salomon Free Ski TV. They've done some movies, and I remember they had one athlete joining the trip just because he pitched the idea that he will carry all the gear all the time if he can join. And then
I mean, that's one way to do it.
and this became kind of a big part of the movie, and he became that person that carries the gear. So not that he just joined, but he also kind of became one of the main characters of the movies. So I think there is really a lot of ways to find your way.
That's a hilarious story. Like, such a good thing.
Yeah. Then we got a question from Lawrence. How many cameras or lenses did you break throughout your career when you were filming and skiing at the same time? And so, have you got good insurance?
So like I don't really do that many follow cams, but I have broken some lenses for sure, just for, I don't know, dropping the camera in the ground or just being out in bad weather. But I think like the Canon lenses I work with, they're really good. So I don't have any insurance on them because they're pretty cheap to fix for me so far. I've also crashed a few drones. They are more expensive, especially if you have like a flyaway and the drone disappears. For that, I have the DJI insurance. I think you can have that like the first year when you buy a drone, and then you get a completely new drone for like a few $100s. So I recommend that if you buy a new drone.
Which drone do you use from them?
Right now I have a Mavic 3 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How good is the small one they make? Because they do like a air version, right? Or...
Yeah. So Jakob normally has the air version in his backpack, so he can fly like a second angle.
Okay.
They are good, I think. The picture quality is not there. Like you can tell in post that it has a worse sensor than the bigger one. But I mean, I'd rather have that than not having a second drone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one more question. Have you found yourself in a tricky situation when filming a ski movie? Meaning, like, you went up. I mean, you are obviously a good skier as well, but sometimes when you see a shot from a ski movie, like you're wondering how they got it, and especially like how the cameraman made it down. And there is this meme on Instagram like that cameraman never dies. But do you find
Never seen that meme.
No, really?
No, your algorithm must be a bit messed up.
I'll send you both. Like, do you find yourself sometimes in those kind of situations, or you plan beforehand to make sure that it doesn't need it, that they're not needed?
Yeah. So like I'm okay at skiing, but I'm not by any means a good skier. That's why I use the drone so much. So I definitely struggle when I go down, because normally, I mean, when we shoot, we try to shoot in good lighting, and that is sunset. So when it's time for me to ski down, it's black and crusty, and it's normally the good snow is where Jakob skied, not where I'm going to ski down. So I struggle like a lot skiing down for sure. But I've never been in a sketchy situation like that. I think the most sketchy thing I did was skiing last down and crossing like a river, and I fell down head first, but my ski got stuck on top, and since my camera bag is so heavy, I couldn't really get up. So lucky for me, Jakob kept track of me and came back to pick me up, because I was stuck there for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sketchy stuff.
Sketchy stuff.
One more question from Fernanda. Would you recommend shorter videos over 10 minutes plus to get started with filming as an athlete? But I believe that's maybe a similar answer to before.
Yeah, I think so. It depends on. I mean, don't make a 20 or 40-minute movie if you don't have the material for that. It's rather keep it concise and like stick to your story. But if you have a good story, just make sure you tell it in a good way. And if that's more than 10 minutes, just don't be hang up on that.
And to follow up on that question, sorry, Tim, do you ever have any shots where Jakob or other people in the film are like, oh, that was a sick line, it was super good, and you're like, yeah, it's not going to cut it?
Yeah. Yes.
And how does that go for you? Like, how do you approach it?
I don't know. I mean, it's all about compromising, because I don't really come from a skiing background, so I have respect that the skiers want to showcase some stuff that I don't really see what's so exciting about it is. But it's also like you don't want to make the movie too long, so you have to start cutting somewhere.
Yeah.
And if I'm not thinking it's interesting enough or the light is not good enough, I'm gonna cut it. Yeah.
I think that question I'm also curious myself as well from Hugo. How do you think about sound design? Do you always capture your own ski audio or do you use some editing magic? I believe that goes especially like ski turns and then the sound of snow and stuff like that.
Yeah. As a sound design, super important actually. We just like started working on that a few years ago because we didn't really think about it that much. But when you start thinking about it, you realize how important it is in the quality of the movie. So we try to capture as much as possible, but if you're skiing big lines and the drone shot is sort of far away, you can sort of reuse good audio. Like if you have a good turn, you can use that in multiple shots because people are not going to really hear the difference. I think if you're working with cameras up close, you want to aim for capturing that sound when at the same time when you're shooting. But yeah,
can you is there a library online as well where you can buy a lot of these sounds or not really?
Not really for skiing, I would say. We use something called Splice. It's an app that you pay for, and they have this huge library of samples of winds and birds and stuff. But the ski industry is pretty small, so they don't have powder turn to the left or stuff like that. Yeah. But we try to make our own library in our hard drives. So I have a good skinning sound and a good pow sound and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Nice. And then there is a question from Joel. What is a good first camera for combination of active shots and landscape? Bonus question. What is the most important thing to deliver good / engaging storytelling? But maybe we can start with the
the first question. A good camera. For what was the question again?
Yeah, I assume he's asking a good first camera that you can get landscape and shots, and that it's probably not too expensive. If you have some recommendations that you tried out.
I think maybe a GoPro, to be honest, because you want to have a camera. You want the camera movement to be smooth and not shaking. And if you buy bigger cameras, you normally need a good tripod and stuff like that. So if you have a GoPro and a decent cell phone and a small drone, I think you can create pretty good stuff. That would be my recommendation. Yeah,
I would agree with that. And then one more question from Militron Cone. How do you mix those picture qualities with the drone and the good camera? So I imagine if you film something 4K with your Canon, and then you get maybe a footage from a from a less good drone? Like, how can you match the colors and the quality that when a watcher will view the movie, that it won't feel like two different vibes?
Yeah. So I think in post-production, the color matching is huge. It's also, it's a try and error thing, depending on what type of light you're working with. And you need to, like, in post-production, you need to decide, like, okay, this is the look I'm going for in this sequence. And then you try to match everything to that. So, and you're gonna tell if you use a good drone and a less good drone. I'm gonna be able to tell that, okay, this is not as good quality, but doesn't really matter if the colors match, because everything goes so fast and you're watching the skier. And there's also like some good tools in post-production, like the noise reduction in DaVinci nowadays is really good. And so you can, it's okay to work around, I think. But this is a huge subject, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And do you like, or you also said you learned it yourself, like was it mainly YouTube, or did you also took some online courses or master classes or anything like that?
No, it's mainly YouTube and trial and error, to be honest, just editing a bunch of stuff and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work for me.
Nice.
And what program do you actually edit in?
DaVinci.
It's okay. Stupid
Yeah.
question. You just mentioned DaVinci a minute ago. Sorry.
Yeah, I used to work in Premiere and then do color grading in DaVinci, but I just
Okay.
switched because I think it's a
Okay.
better program.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then maybe a good, if it's a last question from Lasse, what does the future of snow movie looks like? And maybe also an add-on, also with the AI and everything, if that's something you are thinking to use as a tool as well for your movies, or are using already, or what would you say that it's future of your ski movies?
I haven't used any AI so far. I don't want to promise anything, but I think for ski movies, why you watch ski movies is that you want to see a real person doing something very impressive.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is why we watch athletes doing impressive stuff. So I don't think I'm going to be using AI for that.
Yeah.
Like for sorting material, or maybe like putting everything in those timelines in DaVinci, perfect. But for shooting, no. So I hope the future of storytelling, or in the ski movies, that we have athletes and filmmakers like me that are able to create content in an authentic way on the mountains, and that not everything is produced by big brands, that we also have like smaller production companies like me. That's my hope. I think there's room for everyone.
Yes. And for our listeners that maybe don't follow you or haven't watched your movies yet, where is the best way to find you or your projects?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's Sofia Westers. Maybe you can type that in somewhere.
Yeah, I'll add the link as well.
And for like all the movies, like I do most of my movies with my husband Jakob, and it's on his YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jakob Wester Ski at YouTube.
Nice. I linked it both into the comments on YouTube section.
Perfect.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah, I think we've wrapped up nicely. I think a lot of learnings and good tips shared. Maybe to end with, like, if you would look 10 years back or to 2007 when you started with everything, what would be an advice that maybe you would give yourself back then, looking at it now?
I think I did pretty good, actually. I mean, be brave and try something new. And if it doesn't work out, you can always go back to school. You know, it's fine. I'm very happy with my life, so I'm proud of myself. Actually, can I say that? It's a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Very nice to hear.
That's it's really
And
good.
if anyone listening wanna like just write to me if you have any more questions, or if you're in Norway and wanna hang out, just let me know.
Really cool.
I think it's a beautiful sentence also to see what being in this industry brings to life. I think also all the mountains and the fresh air in the mountains and all the journeys
Yeah.
are a big part of that. Nice. Sweet. Yeah. Thank you, Sofia, very, very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And see you sooner than later on the mountain.
Yes.
And
Very
thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you all. Merry Christmas. Happy
Merry
holidays. See you all next